welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And this is Season 5, Episode 10.
Or Episode 104 if you're counting.
I hope everything is going well for you guys. If there are any issues with the stream, as always, we will work our best to correct them. There might be some herking, and I will take care of that as need be. How you guys doing? Hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Thank you, as always, to our Patreon contributors over at patreon.com/MarsGirl. We really appreciate all that you do to continue to make this episode and other programs that we create like it possible from day to day, really, and week to week. Yay.
Working is good.
Working is good. Awesome.
Consistently working is better.
Yes. So far, things are not looking like a pain, so...
No. So far, we're doing alright.
Alright!
Hooray!
So what's going on?
I'll tell you what's not going on anymore. Blip.
Yep! Today was officially the death of Blip.tv, where many producers, such as myself... How do you always forget how a kazoo works? Okay.
Alright, fine. I was trying to give you taps, but fine.
Yeah, but taps takes too long. Blip.tv was... Hey, please, tell the
Okay,
thing.
fine. Tell him.
Blip.tv was where many producers such as myself were hosting many of our programs for many, many years. And then after a while, they were bought out by Maker. And then after a while, Maker was bought out by Disney. And we all thought, hey, Disney World. And, but we kind of knew the end was coming. Things were not functioning the way they should be functioning for quite some time. We had to hassle them in order to see our statistics and to get paid. Many of us, including myself, still haven't been paid for several months. And supposedly they're gonna pay all of us out come September. We'll see whether or not that actually happens.
I'm hoping they do.
I hope so, because we sort of have a trip to fund. But, well, bye Blip. There were some good memories, like the times where ad revenue actually was good.
Yeah.
And then it tanked.
How many years ago was that, Kaylin?
Oh, it was at least 3 years ago that the ad revenue tanked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. But now it's a new era of YouTube and battling incorrect YouTube copyright strikes, but I think I can keep up with them and keep functioning on YouTube fairly well. So, for me, it's not going to be a big problem. For some other people, it's a much bigger problem because they focus so much more on movies than I do, typically. And
that just makes them more of a target for copyright. Anything, really.
Yeah, so a lot of people are also trying to find many other video platforms, such as Dailymotion and Vimeo, and they have their ups and downs, so it's gonna be a very weird and interesting transition period for a whole heck of a lot of us. But that's it for the final Blipocalypse.
There will be no more Blipocalypse after this.
No more Blipocalypse.
We are canceling the Blipocalypse because that's it. There's no more Blip-to-apocalypse.
No more
right?
Blip-to-apocalypse. I suppose that's a good way to describe it. Anything else going on before we talk about our topics for the evening?
I got a new gun.
Which new gun did you get?
This one.
Oh yeah, the one that splits in two.
Right, so, you know, it was my birthday about a week or so ago, and I had a Walmart gift card left over, so I was like, you know what, I like Nerf guns. So I go down to my local Walmart, thinking I'm going to get what I know is available from the fall line, and then I find this beauty here, the Split Strike. It has a pretty hefty looking blaster here. You'll notice it has two plungers here. Why? Because this thing's like the dang Wing Zero Buster Cannon. Oh, look at that. It splits in half. Look at that. Dual wielding. 20 bucks. This thing is awesome. I love this thing. You can hold on to one if you want.
For a second, I guess.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, but it's just a plunger action.
Yeah, but it shoots pretty far. It's,
so light! Just one of them
one
is
half
so
is
light.
light.
Yeah.
But you put them together, and then it's significantly... Like, it doesn't feel like it's two. It feels like 3 times the weight with 2 of them together, which is weird, but I love this thing. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. Can't wait to use this. But
I mean, you've already fired it.
Oh, I've fired it several times. I shoot the cat when you're not looking.
Hey!
Okay, sometimes I fire when you are looking.
Hey!
What?
Don't do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah! Alright, but yeah, as it stands, we do have a show to do tonight, and we've got 3 real big stories, so we're going to go ahead and move forward with those.
They're pretty big stories. I mean, they're alright stories. They're stories. I can promise you they're stories.
Promise you that they're stories.
That they're stories.
Stories of the internet variety.
So, apparently the first story marks the first press conference of Kamen Rider Ghost, which happened this past week.
Yes, just 2 days ago, a lot later than people expected, but we said as soon as we got that information, we'd give it to you guys, so tonight we're going to run with all that information.
Second story is in reference to Comiket, which I do believe was also this past weekend. And really it's more of a topical discussion on whether or not such an event as Comic Market over in Tokyo is actually still even relevant anymore, as it's been going on for how many years now?
Oh, the better part of
40 years. Yeah, so that's second topic of the evening.
And then our final topic for the evening, again, this past weekend, we saw D23, Disney's nice inclusive conference covering things from Marvel to Disney themselves to new Star Wars information. We're going to give you guys as much of a rundown on that as humanly possible within the confines of the time we have for this show.
And then we could, totally go overtime into Q&A and talk about more D23 junk.
Yes, absolutely.
That could happen.
That could happen.
All right.
It'll probably happen.
Well, we got some follow-ups, though, for the time being, right?
Yes, we do. Now, again, we always say it. We hate to be the bearers of bad news, but we would be remiss not to cover this. So, unfortunately, just a few days ago, we lost Yvonne Craig, who was an actress, most famously known for her role in the Adam West Batman series as Commissioner Gordon's daughter, Barbara, who was also Batgirl. She was the first live-action rendition of Batgirl. She was active for very many years, was also in Star Trek, different shows over the years, $6 Million Man. She unfortunately died a few days ago due to complications from breast cancer. Her family is requesting that in lieu of well wishes and flowers, that if you could make a donation. And I'm actually going to link you guys to the site, and I'll tell you right now, it's theangelusclinicfoundation.org, and there's a donate link there. So if you guys feel so inclined to give a donation, and oh wait, no, that's not it.
Nope,
okay, that's something else.
Yeah, that's a whole bunch of Star Wars toys, which actually has nothing to do with our show this evening.
Yes, I will just go ahead and type it out here. But yes, I remember growing up watching... Adam West's Batman was my first introduction to the world of Batman before I got into comics later, and then the other subsequent renditions down the road, but, that was iconic. She's the first one to have that role, and, very capable actress. She studied ballet for many years, so that helped with some of the choreography there on the show. She leaves behind a legacy of many, many years on stage, in film, and so from all of us here at the show, you will be missed. And I will get that link to you guys in a second. But moving on to other brighter news, we did finally get confirmation from Attack on Titan's English sub release over here by Funimation. That is going to be coming out on September 30th in a limited release over here, and then
in theaters.
So that will be when the first movie comes out over here. A month later, in October, that's when the second movie will premiere here.
Cool.
Courtesy of Funimation. So you guys, from what I understand, you can go to the website attackontitanmovie.com to go ahead and see if tickets are available yet in your area. So hopefully everybody will get a chance to see this now. They definitely see the great success they had with Resurrection F's run, the extended run, I should mention.
Yeah, but do you really think this is going to be as big of a thing, especially considering all those reviews that came out, like, it's not like the anime?
Well, see, that's the thing I'm wondering about. I think people now will have the chance to see for themselves, because a lot of times movies get reviewed that don't often get a wide release over here. Case in point, the Kenshin movies. Unless you went to an Asian film festival, of which there were only very few that were showing it, that was really your only chance to see the movie. And there were a lot of actually English reviews over here of it, but those people went to those film screenings at those festivals.
Right.
The wide audience at large wouldn't see it for another year or two until it got released over here on iTunes. In this case, people can complain about, oh, it's nothing like the anime, it's nothing like the manga. Well, now you get to see for yourselves. If anything, they'll bank off morbid curiosity.
That sounds about right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's reasonable. As such, in accordance with that, we talked about Resurrection F there. The latest Dragon Ball Z movie, with its extended run, went out to 8 million.
Okay.
As total gross. Definitely cementing its place on the top 10 anime list as far as movies released in the United States.
In theaters, yeah.
In theaters. In other news, so we talked to you guys a while back about Kuratas versus US as far as our two countries going head-to-head in a giant robot battle. We covered that story a couple of weeks ago, and now we see that Team USA has launched a Kickstarter.
Nope, it's not that.
To go ahead.
Not that.
We don't have a picture for it.
I grabbed one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is it that? No.
No, that's not it.
Is it that one? Nope. You know what? Just talk about it.
Yeah, let me just talk about it.
Don't wait for me. Just
okay,
keep going.
So point being, this Kickstarter is up now, and I will at least link to the Kickstarter. Is up now for Team USA to go ahead and get the funds that they need to go ahead and do the necessary upgrades to the American robot. Now, if you look there on the page, there's kind of this... Really, you kind of should have expected it to come out that way. This rendition of what the finished product should look like.
That should have been the picture I grabbed, but oops, oh well.
Yeah, and...
No big deal.
And the problem with that... Well, not really problem, it's that it's so... Murka'd out. You know, it's got the red, white, and blue.
Isn't that even its name?
I think that's the name. Well, it has an official name, just the Mark II. And here we go. Here's the picture right here. Like, this thing's got a red, white, and blue chainsaw and a gat on the other arm. Like, this thing... This is what you would expect America to come out with, and I can't say...
Which is exactly what Japan made fun of us for, and here we go fulfilling exactly what they made fun of us for.
Exactly.
I thought this was supposed to be melee combat. Like, it still has guns and turrets and...
Well, they're hoping that this chainsaw
It wants to
arm...
melee with the chainsaw, and that's it?
Yes, this looks like our robot by way of Michael Bay.
Yeah.
So, of course, you have a chance to give to this Kickstarter and get certain rewards, some of which being not too bad, like being able to be there on launch day when they're actually going to fight Japan, or sit in the robot.
Or fire the robot's weapons. However, you have to be super rich in order to get said
That's
perks.
pretty high up there. That's, was it the $10,000 level? Yeah, you're there
well,
at the
how
pit
far
crew.
along are they in their Kickstarter?
Well, currently the goal is $500,000, $500,000. Right now they're at
$280,000.
Yeah, $280,000 and change. So they're well on their way there. There's 28 days to go. Just letting you guys know, if you want to go for Team USA,
And they've got time.
here's your chance. Okay, in other news, we got a picture, rather a better picture of Chris Helmsworth on his bike there for the Ghostbusters movie. I think we agreed to say movie.
Yeah, because I really don't know whether it's reboot or not. But aside from the fact that old Ghostbusters actors are not playing their characters, which would make you think reboot, because why would they not play themselves?
Right. So here we have him on his bike with a makeshift name tag made out of duct tape. I don't know if you guys can read it there. It says Kevin, written in pen. I guess they are kind of going for the he's there Janine. Not Janine. What am I saying? No, yeah, Janine, right?
Yeah? Yeah.
So,
Their secretary.
Their secretary, basically, and I'm like, did you have to go with, like, name of our show, did you have to go with the black rim glasses to prove he's a nerd? Just saying.
It's the stereotype, thus, the name of our show.
Right.
Getting past the stereotype.
Well, I guess
Hollywood doesn't know how to go beyond a stereotype.
We can only hope.
I have no hope.
Yeah, not much on that. In other news, we got information from Shout Factory confirming when the Die Ranger English release is going to be, and we got a picture of the cover.
One of these is it. One of these is it. See them?
There it is. Yeah, there's the picture of the cover. Again, they're going with the same kind of motif they did for the Z Ranger release, where the Super Sentai is very big on the title, and they're hoping that's what catches people's
And the
attention.
actual name of the show.
Right there on the bottom.
Well, and, like, right below Super Sentai, but written in Japanese.
Yeah, like, that's really going to help anybody. But
Yeah.
you can go ahead and get your copy on November 10th for the low manufacturer's suggested retail price of $53.97.
Which is more expensive?
More
right?
expensive than
by
Z Ranger
at least
was.
$10.
By about $10, yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, we say, go out and support this thing, because, like we said before, we never dreamed there would be a day where legally subbed tokusatsu shows would be available over here.
Right.
So, yeah, they're kind of...
Especially because I thought that Saban was, like, holding their own clamp down on Super Sentai and Power Rangers and anything to that nature. If you look at the back of the Z Ranger DVDs, you can see real tiny font the Saban logo in the corner.
Right.
So they clearly had to license the Sentai footage from Saban, who licensed it from Toei. Like, it's a really bass-ackward kind of system, and yet they managed to do it. So,
yeah, so...
good for them.
But yes, please support once it comes out. In other news, we have a few words on the cast, really the roster, the character descriptions for this Power Rangers reboot movie. Again, surrounding the original 5 characters, Jason, Trini, Billy, Kimberly, and Zach. And for the most part, the character descriptions aren't too far off from the original cast themselves. So that tells us that they're at least paying some attention. Of course, there's been a lot said about how Zordon and Rita Repulsa are going to fit into this, being more radically different from their original counterparts. But again, we're keeping our ears to the ground until we get any bigger news than it's coming.
Yay.
Yay. And then the last thing, and I say this for the end of the follow-ups because I know it's going to be a little hard to talk about. So, unfortunately, we got word back from Guillermo del Toro that he's considered himself kryptonite to video games, and has such sworn off from working on another video game ever again.
Thanks, Konami.
Great job, Konami! This is why we can't have nice things.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You really knocked that one out of the park.
'Cause here's the thing that North American audiences, and really Western audiences in general, don't understand, is that Konami is such a bigger thing than just gaming, especially in Japan. When we go walking around, you're gonna see the Konami sports clubs are around like every corner. That's not video games. I was like, what, is it an arcade? And I poked my head in, and it was like, I saw lockers and bike machines, and I was like, I'm leaving. This is not where I'm meant to be. So, it's pretty clear that they're just like, yeah, we're gonna cut our losses and not treat anybody very well, and thus, vicariously, Guillermo del Toro is now like, I tried one too many times, and it's failed every time.
Well, yeah, it's the whole fool me once, shame on you, fool me... Well, not so much that, actually, there's a better analogy for it. It's when everything goes wrong, the only thing in common is you, sort of thing. So that's where he's coming from, but honestly, it's not... I don't think it's his fault. It's just really bad luck that everything he's happened to work on video game-wise had something else really, really wrong with it. He wasn't the wrong thing with it.
No, it definitely wasn't his fault.
Because we can kind of sort of figure that should Silent Hills have actually made it out, it would have done boss numbers.
Hell yeah, it would have.
It would have revolutionized how we look at the horror genre when you actually get a horror director on it.
Well, one, the horror genre, and two, how we would have looked at really, truly cinematic gameplay experiences. Not like we do not have that, because it exists, but to be able to get powerhouses in as Hollywood actors, which is a thing, and then Hollywood directors...
Right, exactly.
...in combination with AAA video game producers to create a solid product.
This would have been the first solid product, and now, no. And the guy who would have worked with you thinks he's kryptonite. Great. I hope you're happy, Konami.
Good job!
Freaking hate you guys. Alright, so, yeah, that'll do it for the follow-ups. We got a lot of story to get into. So, first and foremost, number one story tonight.
Which is?
You never know if I don't have the notes up. Ghost.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, it also doesn't help that none of these pictures have, like, names anywhere. They just don't. I mean,
well, that one, that'll work.
That's one. There's a second one that I have more full screen somewhere, and it's that one.
Yes, that one. Okay, so get out of the way.
That's got kind of a full cast of everybody who was premiered here.
Okay, so this past week, we finally got our official press conference for the next Kamen Rider Ghost.
I'm gonna take that away for a second. I'll come back.
Yeah, because he's right there behind your head.
Yep.
Yeah, there he is. Oh wait, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so get back here. Okay, so with this press conference, we can confirm a lot of the news that we could have reported, but we wanted to give it all to you in one lumped package for you. So here we go. We can officially confirm that the show will premiere October 4th. That puts it a lot later than most other Rider debuts in the year.
I don't think it needs that scheduled plan that you think it needs, but...
Well, they had their own schedule that they were keeping to in this kind of...
For a few years, maybe.
For a few years.
But if you look back historically, it's been all over the place throughout its previous 40-some-odd years.
Well, for a good 9 years, they had a pretty normal time slot. Somewhere around late January, early February is when they would premiere. Then once Decade came in, they kind of broke that off, and then from Double On, they've been trying to kind of keep to when it premieres, and now they've pushed it even further back with this. Now, I know a lot of you there, this might be your first time looking at Ghost, and there he is right behind my head, saying, yeah, he kind of looks like Deadpool. Now, the thing about a lot of Kamen Riders, or at least what it used to be in the past, is that their motif was based off a certain kind of bug. And now it should be explained that the reason he looks the way he does is because it's more or less been confirmed that his look is designed off a firefly. And for those of you who don't know, fireflies in Japan are connected to the spirits of the deceased.
Think that anime movie Grave of the Fireflies, a huge indication, as that movie takes place at the end of World War II, as Japan is suffering from horrible, horrible losses and recovery, and such a sad movie, but ends with a lot of fireflies, and so you can understand its connection to a spiritual realm.
Yes. So yeah, for what it's worth, we've got another bug motif for the first time in, like, I don't know how long at this point.
Good. The thing I'm wondering about, though, is how does it connect to that stupid iguana thing?
Okay, we don't have a picture of it right now, but later on, within, we assume, the first 15 episodes, he's going to get some stupid power-up of an iguana or a ghost ship that combines with his bike and makes some sort of iguana robot thing. Don't ask me about it. My bet is that they'll use it once, if we're lucky, only 3 times throughout the entire existence of this character, and we will never see it again.
I hope that's true.
Because iguanas have nothing to do with ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't. So,
unless it's a dead ghost iguana. That is my only rationale. And if that's what it is, it's stupid, but at least it's dead. If you can
explain to me why the iguana is dead and why it matters to this guy, then fine.
Well, then explain to me why it is that in previous series we needed robots that were in the shape of McDonald's Happy Meal food items.
You know I hate that series and you know it. Well, I tolerate it now, but I hate that gimmick.
And how about little aluminum cans that turn into animals, like these are stupid.
Well, okay,
the iguana is gonna be a stupid gimmick, the stupid little child's gimmick that everybody's gonna want to buy 80 bajillion of, and they're gonna be cheap.
No, because there have been certain cases of a device that combines with the vehicle. They try it and it doesn't work. Case in point, the Brawn Booster from Kamen Rider Kiva.
Why would they brag about the iguana so early then if it's not gonna work?
Well, they're not bragging about it. This isn't bragging. Let's not go putting words in people's mouth. This is just a picture we got from the toy catalog that has already come out. That's not bragging. That's just us seeing what's coming down the road. Now, as such, like the Brawn Booster, there's a fairly high chance. The Brawn Booster was this device that attached to the bike in the series that made it really, really bulky and stupid looking, and thankfully they only used it like about 3 times, and then they never used it again and never mentioned it again. So I'm figuring that's what's going to happen here.
Okay, now, so what's up with these other dudes?
Okay, so probably what we should do is explain what the plot of this series is. Now, the guy right behind your head, yeah, that guy in the if I can just point this guy right here. Yeah. This is our new hero, Takeru Tenkuji, being played by Shun Nishime. Shun Nishime is the guy people were pointing to probably be Ghost. The actor, Shun Nishime, won the Junon Superboy contest, which is basically a talent contest there in Japan, and has such gained this role. And the role of Takeru Tenkuji is thus. He is his father was a ghost hunter who died about 10 years ago. When trying to defend his friends in the series from these new monsters called, what do they call them? Ganma, he dies in the process. But this old hermit, who's there on the other side of Kaylin's head, brings him back to life, and when he is brought back to life, he gains the power to become Ghost. And the series goes on from there. He has 99 days to gather the little devices in the series, which you'll see there in the poster next to him, called Ghost Icons. If he gathers...
That little blue thing there next to his face, next to the bike. Yeah.
If he gathers 15 of them within 99 days, he will be granted a wish, which is more than likely to be fully restored back to life. So he's kind of half dead.
So, to be fair, I think it makes sense that it's premiering in October, because Japan is slowly starting to appreciate Halloween, for example.
Yes.
It's a very American thing, but as time has gone on, more and more normal people start to just dress up for the hell of it on Halloween. There's not really a trick-or-treating kind of a thing to it, but...
I say not yet. They'll probably pick it up soon.
I don't know. Hard to say.
Well, because I think about it, you know, as a whole, like, you think about how big just over the past 10 years Christmas has gotten over there. It's gotten way more like our American Christmas.
No, not necessarily. Just because you hear jingle bells and you see Christmas lights and Christmas trees and stuff doesn't make it like ours. One, it's not religious at all. Two, you don't spend it with your family. Three, you spend it with your person you're in a relationship with. You spend it with your romantic partner. It's not a family holiday. That, and you're lucky if you actually get Christmas off. A lot of people work on Christmas.
But they do take advantage of those Christmas sales.
Oh, Christmas sales, like to say that Christmas is not a monopolized, well, I shouldn't say monopolized, a profitable holiday to market. It's just like Valentine's Day. Like of course, just like America has turned it into a cash cow. And it has nothing to do with any religious factors or anybody's series of beliefs or what the spirit of the season should feel like. It has to do with buy, buy, buy. Of course, that is retained. If that's what you're talking about, then yes, Japanese Christmas is exactly like American Christmas.
Okay, but getting back to the Kamen Rider here. So this other guy behind... or really just off to the side of him, you guys see him there in the black and blue. He's the secondary writer, Kamen Rider Spectre, played by the actor Ryusuke Yamamoto. Now, yes, him. Now, we haven't gotten a full look at his costume yet. Now, this isn't the first time, though, that at a press conference, they have confirmed that this person will be a writer, but the suit isn't quite ready yet. Odds are they are just getting the finishing touches on it, and they're getting ready to start filming with that actor in particular. Mm-hmm. And you'll see next to him this female just to the right of our star is
to our right, his left
is the Akari Tsukimura, a childhood friend of our main character. She is going to be the type of person that believes that everything has a logical, scientific explanation, and I imagine that's going to run parallel with having to explain why there's a bunch of ghosts running around and why they kind of look like clothing. Mm-hmm. As such, this series also has a couple of people in the cast who have worked in tokusatsu previously. Ghost's father is being played by Kazuhiko Nishimura, who was previously in, I think it was Live Man. Correct, right here.
Don't spend too much time on
yes,
it now.
He was Live Man. He was in Live Man, which was a former, he was a former Sentai actor. There's also actress, or voice actress, Aoi Yuzuki, who most people would know as the voice of Madoka from Madoka Magica. She's playing... Magica, right, because...
Right, because they don't, yeah, the G
she is
good...
playing a character that hasn't been revealed yet, more than likely a monster. the way it works in the series, they aren't explaining too much about what the monsters want, just that they want these icon devices, which are these little things, like we said, that for Ghost are inserted into the belt and give him his different forms. That's how we're explaining the form changes. Several of these form changes have already been revealed. The thing being, as we've said before, that these form changes are based on the spirits of great men, or famous people who have already died. So some
of these names and these forms, they sound stupid. At least they're all dead people.
Yeah, at least they're consistent with it. Like, his first one that they've already debuted in the Drive summer movie was his Edison form, of course, based off Thomas Edison, and this gives him, apparently, control over... what was it,
electricity?
And then his Newton form, which gives him control over gravity, which makes sense. And then later on down the road, he'll get a Musashi form, which just makes him a better swordsman.
Didn't somebody say Napoleon at some point?
No, not Napoleon. It's either him or Spectre will have a Beethoven form.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Somebody figured that was a good idea. There will also be, specifically for Spectre, a Tutankhamun form.
See, I don't know whether this is awesome or this is kind of, like you're using dead people. That's kind of stepping on...
It's a little taboo.
Yeah, it's a little taboo.
Well, I imagine they'll dance around it a bit, so long as, they keep them as CG ghosts and not actually a Japanese person and, say, like, whiteface trying to be Thomas Edison.
Oh, they'll probably hire the worst white guy they found off the street and say, hey, be Thomas Edison for a second. And he'll say really bad English because that's his line, and then he'll go away.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So as such, what can we expect from this series? We can expect it to be... They're saying that it's a little darker in tone than previous years because of...
I really hope that's true. I really do.
The source material, of course, having to do a lot with death, you can't exactly play that too light, otherwise nobody will take you seriously.
Not unless you get Gegege no Kitaro, if anybody knows what that is, which has been going on for decades and can be very comical, actually.
But I imagine for a younger audience, they'll try and still play up the cool factor of what a Kamen Rider has become in the past couple of years. Case in point with his bike there, or really I should motion with this hand you can't really see. His bike there, the Ghost Striker, looks kind of... I can't remember. Basically, you think of that Night on Bald Mountain part of Fantasia, with the skeletons riding on the demon horse skeleton. That's kind of what I think they're going for there with the Ghost Striker. And again, he's finally riding a bike. Our main character is riding a motorcycle, hence the name Kamen Rider. Thank you.
I'm glad you're so happy.
Well, yeah, I'm happy. We're going back to what the motif should be. But yes, here's all the information for you guys. There's, of course, a ton of it online right now. You guys can go ahead and look at what's available in the toy catalog, or what you can see coming up. Unfortunately, when we head over to Japan next month, they're not going to be selling any of the merchandise just yet, but they should already be filming for the movie war, which will cross over between Drive and Ghost, so there's a slight possibility, very slight, that we might see something while we're there.
You're getting too excitable over...
I'm not being... There's legitimately a chance.
No, I actually don't think they cannot possibly...
Let me dream, woman!
Everywhere.
Let me dream!
Stop! Can we go to the next... We've been on this too long.
Okay, yeah, next door.
Can we go to the next thing? What was... Comiket?
Yes.
Okay. And it's one of these pictures that... has... Okay,
yeah, there
we go. That's... What you're looking at here, this picture is of... Tokyo Big Sight, which is where Comiket takes place every summer and winter. So there are 2 comic markets every year, and it's been going on for the last 40 years there.
Since 1975.
So what is Comiket? Well, Comiket really is a doujinshi, or a fan-made comic convention of sorts, where really a whole bunch of comic circles, and by that I mean sometimes it's not just one person who draws a fan comic, right? Like sometimes you'll at anime cons or Western conventions, you'll see artist alleys where there's like one artist selling a whole bunch of prints or comic strips or whatever, but comic circles are typically a group of at least 3 people, sometimes up to 5 or 6 people working on one dojin, one fan-made comic, and they'll sell prints of these little books, you know, and there's just thousands and thousands of these circles that go and set up booths there inside Tokyo Big Sight, which is really the biggest site, the biggest location that Tokyo has. For the longest time, for example, Tokyo Game Show used to always take place at Tokyo Big Sight, but even Tokyo Game Show outgrew Tokyo Big Sight and had to move to the neighboring city of Chiba and go to Makuhari Messe. And really, Comiket, from what I understand, has really outgrown this site too. Like, it is balls miserable to walk through Comiket.
To give you guys an example of why that would be so miserable, the totals for this last weekend's attendance was over 500,000 people over 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane for the size of this actual facility, which they've severely outgrown over the last couple of years. But really, the point of the story tonight, Anime News Network postulated this question that, has Comiket outlived its usefulness? Because we live in an age now where people, if they make fan creations more than just comics now, you know, animations, music, what have you, the internet is the place to facilitate that. You can get people from all different parts of the globe to see your work, not just people within your prefecture or even your country. And so, as such, when you have digital allowances for people to see your works, do you need to actually show up and have people physically touch your work, physically see your work? So,
yeah.
Do you think it's outlived its usefulness, yes or no?
Well, in a way, yes, in a way, no, because I think, especially for the Japanese have always sort of had, it's just kind of the way it's always been done. You physically go to a place to get something that you could never possibly get someplace else, which would be, you know, a physically published copy of something, which you could totally sell on the internet, admittedly. But the Japanese people are also really proud. They will tell you this themselves. They're proud of lining up for ridiculous, ludicrous things.
Because if you took that away from them, you take away a lot of really what makes them them. They like waiting in line. Excuse me. They like waiting in line. They like having the story to come back with, hey, guess how long I was waiting, and look what I got! Mm-hmm. You know, for a keychain or something. And
realize, too, that this is doujinshi, so it's fan-made, published at home stuff, comics. And most of it is not original art. Some of it is. Some titles did spawn out of original art found at Comiket, such as, Fate's Day was one? Right?
Well, no, that was one that was referenced for something that had grown big off the internet.
Yes.
You know, and that's an example for people saying, well, if you can just get it off the internet, then why do you need to show up there? Now, actually, some of you guys brought it up there in the chat room. Yeah, a big part of the complaint against Comiket now, why it's not necessary, is part of the problem that over the last couple of years, yes, hentai has become a very big thing to sell there. In fact, to a lot of people, it's known as basically a hentai convention, because that's a lot of the doujin that's being sold there. Not all of it, but enough for people to take notice.
Right. And on top of that, you also think about the legality of it. And this is mostly the same internationally when you're talking about different countries that have signed the Berne Act. B-E-R-N-E, the Berne Act. So this is true in America, so I will speak from an American standpoint for just a second. The artist alleys at your local conventions are not technically legal, because really, the only person who owns the distribution rights to anything that could be considered a derivative work would in fact be the copyright owner. In fact, I believe just as recently as this past month, Funimation themselves said, we might have even mentioned it briefly on our show. They said themselves, hey, we really like all of the work that you guys do. We think you fans are amazing and really talented, blah, blah, blah. But since we're copyright holders and we want to protect our copyrights, we're going to have to... we're going to have to enforce our laws, our rights, and tell you if we see you at a convention that we are at, then we're going to have to tell you to stop.
Here's the thing about the Funimation thing, though. The thing that they said was if we see art of ours that has the logo on it, then you got to pull it. If it doesn't, then, you know, more power to you. And
they didn't say that. That's not what they said.
That is what they said. But see, that's the thing. I appreciate if a company was going to defend the right of people just making art for art's sake. I mean, yeah, it would be nice if you're making something that you'd want to be able to make a profit
Seth
off
Brower,
of.
thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it.
You know, and for the most part, that's what people here at Comiket and really at any artist alley want to do. They want to be able to get something back for the art that they've spent hours creating.
But I believe this article that you're referencing even also references the law for not being able to publish these derivative works, because it's technically illegal.
Right, through the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And as such, like, yeah, you can look at it in two ways. One, the legality of it, and two, is there a point to just doing it in person when you could just do the whole thing online?
Mm-hmm.
And on the one hand, I say, yeah, there is something to doing it in person, because people want to be able to hold something tangibly. Like me, yeah, I can stream a bunch of stuff off Netflix right now, but I prefer having something solid in my hands. I don't think there will ever be a point where people won't tangibly want to hold something. Same thing with, we were talking earlier about Steam games, how you can get cases for them.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to hold the case for the game you sort of have, but you don't have a physical...
Floating around in the air on the internet
you
somewhere.
want something physical. So yeah, I think there's totally still a market for it.
Well, to be fair, how many people did you say showed up to this past Comiket?
550,000.
So, as you can see, clearly, whether or not it's relevant anymore, people still like it, and people still go to it, and I think 550,000 people would be very sad and disappointed if Comiket did not return.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, by this point, since 1975, that's an establishment.
Yes.
For a lot of otaku over there, it's a rite of passage to just go.
Yes.
Whether or not you buy anything of a questionable nature, just to be there, to have the experience. And that's not to say anything of the cosplayers there at Comiket. There's some amazing cosplayers that show up at Comiket. And, you know, why would you take away that forum where people can, again, show fan works? Like... It's kind of the thing, like, they don't have too many official mascot characters, but you don't see anybody trying to get mad at the legality of cosplay.
What do you mean they don't have too many mascot characters?
Well, I mean, like, some companies have, like, a person in costume, not necessarily a booth babe. Like, let's say, as an example, Capcom has somebody dressed up like Chun-Li.
Okay.
At their booth. That's them officially having somebody in that costume.
Yes.
They're legally represented character. Now, if somebody shows up in an equally good costume, they don't tell them take off that costume.
No, the only people who do that are Disney if you show up cosplaying as a Disney character at a Disney theme park.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, where's the line there? Because technically you're still getting mad at somebody for showing off something that you own the IP for.
I don't think anybody's arguing that, though. I don't think anybody's trying to stop that.
I'm saying as far as the legality that you brought up is concerned.
Yeah, but I think most people are more concerned about the distribution of a derivative artwork, and I don't think cosplay can be considered a distribution of a derivative artwork unless you're trying to sell prints of yourself dressed in a costume.
Which more people do nowadays.
Yes, they do, but nobody is trying to stop that. Like, I don't think we're anywhere close to that.
Well, good.
It might happen one day. It's not now.
So, point being, I think there's still a point to these events happening. I mean, you look at it over here, we still have all these conventions popping up all over the country. Honestly, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's maybe not foolish, but just a little short-sighted to say, oh, has it already, left, left the realm of being useful. No, it's still useful. If that many people show up, yeah, it's still useful.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yes. So, now we get into our last section for tonight, D23.
Alright, so I've got lots of pictures, and I just took myself away. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, where'd we go?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
And you're right there.
I am?
Where are we?
Who are you?
Get out of my office.
You don't have an office.
Oh, then I'm leaving.
Hey.
No, I have lots.
Like
I said, I have lots of different pictures. It depends on where you want to start.
Pick one and then we'll go with it.
Okay, I don't know which one. Is it that? Nope. Is it that? That's one.
Well, that's one. So, of course, this past weekend at D23, we saw a lot of different things covering, like we said, Marvel, Disney themselves, and Star Wars. So we'll go ahead and start with the Marvel portion. We saw, or we haven't seen, but people there had the chance to see a bit more footage from Captain America Civil War, showing some scenes between Cap, and here you can see Chris Evans' stunt actor there in the Captain America suit. We also had some footage of Bucky, Iron Man, talking more about how they're going to face off against one another. No footage yet of Spider-Man. We're still waiting on that footage.
And even so, he's just going to be a cameo, right? So, he's...
As far as we know, they filmed something, but we can't tell whether or not it's incredibly substantial.
Yeah.
Definitely it can be said that Black Panther has a beefier role than Spider-Man in this. We know that for a fact. And we were also treated to a little bit of concept art, not really footage because they haven't started shooting yet, for Doctor Strange, of course starring out Benedict Cumberbatch. They've got an idea of where they want to go with it. They say the footage of a city kind of getting messed with looks very Inception-y. I can't say really what that means for how the finished product will look, because really, as far as Doctor Strange goes in wide popular culture, we don't have very many frames of reference. We've got that really terrible TV pilot. We've got the few cartoon renditions of him on the old Spider-Man cartoon, the newer Spider-Man cartoon, and his one solo movie, which is at best boring. So they're hoping to pull another Guardians of the Galaxy with that. They want to take a character that nobody really knows and then push him up to the forefront and make him a household name. Granted, yeah, they're pushing with that for getting a big name like Benedict Cumberbatch on it, but if they don't have the story behind it, what good
they'll
is it
have
gonna
story.
do? Hopefully they'll have story. But yes, that's all Marvel brought with that. The other news that we got was updates to the Disney theme parks. Apparently,
I picked this one because it's based on my favorite roller coaster, this particular picture.
Yeah, if that gives you any indication, they're going to be upgrading their parks to have more Star Wars-themed attractions.
In fact, there's going to be an addition to, I believe it's the Magic Kingdom of Disney World. If not the Magic Kingdom, it's
specifically for
Disneyland.
Space Mountain.
Well, I was pretty positive they did, in fact, announce that entire land, and it includes the Millennium Falcon, being able to walk through it. There's that whole, that big old room, what were they calling it, like a port or something, that you can walk around and do interactive stuff with it. There's going to be updates to Star Tours that include Episode 7 stuff in it. Space Mountain, which is my personal favorite roller coaster of all time, is apparently going to be transformed into Hyperspace Mountain. So, and I was kind of concerned about it because I remember when I went to Disneyland a few years back, they added music to Space Mountain when previously it had no music, and I was like, this is going to be so stupid, they changed it, they updated it, I don't like it, but then I wrote it and I was like, whee!
One of the few things you get excited about.
Yeah, I love Space Mountain.
Now, the thing that they're doing with Hyperspace Mountain, it's still Space Mountain, but you're there in the tram going through the darkness, but there in the darkness, they're going to have projected different things from the Star Wars universe. So you'll see the Millennium Falcon, you'll see Star Destroyers there in the darkness.
TIE fighters.
And I think that's fine.
I think it'll be alright, just so long as it's still really freaking dark in there. And you can't
don't get me wrong, I like the rush of Space Mountain, because if you haven't been on Space Mountain and you haven't learned that joy for yourself,
yeah, because
make
it's
it
a really simple roller coaster, but it's the deceptive nature of being in the dark and having rushing stars all around you.
Yeah, it's great. So I think, if anything, it'll enhance the experience. You're there zooming through space while a TIE fighter's passing you on one side, and you've got more than likely the John Williams score there around you.
Yeah.
You know,
So
you'll
maybe
feel like
it'll
you're doing
be
the trench
okay.
run.
Maybe it'll be okay.
I would assume so. In addition to that, they've also talked a little bit about the Avatar land that they're putting in there.
That's okay.
Actually, that's all I was going to say about it too, because really, I don't see anybody
alright.
begging for Avatar land. Like,
I
they're
don't
giving
know
it to
why they
us.
ever decided, like, oh, it made a lot of money, like, in one big spurt.
That one time.
At one time.
Because, you know, James Cameron's going to be working on it for the next 7 years.
And never getting to Battle Angel.
Because he won't.
He won't.
He'll keep finding an excuse not to get to Battle Angel. So, officially right now I'm saying screw Avatar World. Let's go on to the next part, which is all the incredible Star Wars news. Now, I know we left off on a lot of Star Wars news last week, but they gave us more this week. What are we gonna do?
I don't know. Like, I've got some pictures of some troopers. Like,
Yes,
they
so
were just, they had a whole bunch of costumes from Episode 7 out on display, for example. There wasn't, like, a huge amount of Star Wars news, but, you know...
Well, there was some huge Star Wars news, though, all the same. The biggest parts being, we got our first look at the cast for Rogue One, which is the spin-off movie, which is basically going to tell the story of the Rebels getting the plans for the Death Star. And I don't know if you grabbed that pic of the cast.
Oh, yeah. I don't have that.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'll go ahead and share that with everybody here. Here we can see everybody there in the cast. Yes, Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Ben Mendelsohn, Donnie Yen. I'm so freaking happy they got Donnie Yen.
Oh, a little
He's gonna be
surprised,
freaking
yeah.
badass in this. Forrest Whitaker is also on there. Alan Tudyk, who people, of course, know from actually a bunch of Disney movies, and, of course, Firefly. Go ahead and give you guys that right here. Boom.
And that's not a bunch of Star Wars Toys pictures this time.
No, this is a bunch of Star Wars people now. No word on who they specifically are, just more than likely they're rebels. They're part of the rebellion.
It's this kind of material, and actually maybe a little before it. Perhaps what the TV series of Star Wars Rebels is telling right now is what... Back when the prequel trilogy was first getting announced and stuff, that's really what I was hoping the 3 movies were gonna overreach and completely tell. And then it turned out, you know what, let's take a 20-year break in between Episode 3 and Episode 4, and I was, like, so disappointed. But now, I am really excited about the concept of this in-between movie, you know.
Right. And the other major news coming out of the weekend is that they've confirmed that Colin Trevorrow, who, of course, directed Jurassic World, is going to direct Episode 9.
Oh, I do have a picture of him.
Yes, you do. He's right there behind your head.
He's there.
Yeah, there he is.
Hi!
So, again, I'm imagining this is based off the numbers that Jurassic World did. And, you know, take it or leave it, Jurassic World did do solid numbers, enough to get a sequel.
Well, see, I actually shockingly didn't hate Jurassic World. It's just that I didn't think it was a Jurassic Park movie. That was my only stipulation. Yeah, let's make the whole screen him. And then let's...
Can we come back? There we go.
There.
He's right there between
It's
us.
kind of creepy, actually, now
It's
that
a little...
I'm looking at it.
You know what? Take him away. He's creeping me out.
You know what? Yeah, I'm starting to regret it. Where did I... He's right there. Go away.
Okay, he's gone. So... Now we can figure we have all of our directors lined up. We've got, of course, J.J. Abrams, who's been working on Force Awakens. We've got Rian Johnson, who's working on Episode 8. And now Colin Trevorrow working on Episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got our directors. Now we have to figure out what the story's going to be, at least carrying over from Force Awakens into these other two.
Well, apparently they have to figure that out, too, because they only have a beginning and an end, and they told the other directors, you figure out how we get there. So they have to... kind of make that up as they go along, too.
I'm hoping that was a good idea, because it's kind of that whole thing, you know, where you're very skittish about what didn't work before. You don't want to go back to that. Like,
right.
Okay, so we left Lucas in charge. That didn't work really well. Let's just give it to 3 completely different people. Don't let them talk to one another. Let's just have them figure out what they come up with, and then we'll try and sew it together.
Yes.
Like, I'm a little worried about that. but it's a gamble.
I am not concerned about this upcoming movie.
Force Awakens, no.
But I am concerned about how are you going to reach the end of this arc. That's perhaps my only concern.
Well, because the thing about it is, you've at least got to take notes.
Yes.
There at least has to be some note exchange between them, because they're not going to tell incredibly radically different stories, just maybe in a different way. Mm-hmm. Is probably the best way of looking at it. And, you know, I want to be excited for it, but this is the first bit of news out of this, you know, upcoming trilogy set where I'm just a little like, let's slow down here. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, let's take this one step at a time for a second here. Then the only other thing I wanted to make mention of is they announced a whole bunch of Pixar sequels, and only one of them I really care about.
Yeah, the only one worth caring about, Incredibles 2. Yes!
It was the only one that seemed worthy of actually having a sequel, because, you know, everybody wanted Cars, I guess.
Well, see, that's the thing, everybody's like...
I didn't want Cars. I hated Cars.
Well, because they announced Incredible...
Radica? Is that how I pronounce that name?
Pretty sure.
Thank you for that follow.
So, yeah, out of the Pixar lineup, we've got Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, and then whatever a next Cars movie is. I don't care. We're not here to talk about that. But as far as Toy Story 4 is concerned, they've said that it's going to revolve around Woody's romance with Bo Peep. And for anybody that saw Toy Story 3, Bo Peep was no longer in the picture. So the question is now, is it a prequel? Are they bringing her back retroactively? Like, how does...
No, not even retroactively. Like, do they shoehorn her back in?
Well, yeah,
like,
shoehorn, that's what I meant.
Yeah, because retroactively would be like, oh, you remember that line about Bo Peep not being here anymore in the third movie? No, never mind, she's always been here.
Yeah.
So it's either that, or it's like, hey, look what we got at a yard sale. Oh, look, we're a happy family all over again.
But that's a little too easy.
That would be kind of lame.
Yeah.
So...
But I'm hoping that they'll surprise me again, because you can't tell me that the motivation for another Toy Story movie isn't more money. That having been said, I thought the same thing about Toy Story 3, and yet... Like, I cried so hard at that one, and most people did.
Yeah, because my first impressions of what I thought Toy Story 3 was going to be was like, Andy's going off to college. Oh, this sounds so stupid. Like, that premise sounds god-awful when you're just looking at it on paper.
But then
the execution was amazing, and I ate my words.
Yes, absolutely. And then, I don't think anybody's worried about Incredibles 2. We've all been wanting the sequel to the best Fantastic Four movie we ever got. Everybody knows it.
I wish that
Everybody
wasn't
friggin'
true.
knows it.
I wish that wasn't
so,
true.
yeah, the faster they get on that... Please, I don't friggin' want another Pirates of the Caribbean, even though you're trying to give it to me. I don't care if Orlando Bloom's back. Give me Incredibles 2.
Well, it's coming, so
faster.
There you go.
Faster, like right now. Right now. But, yeah, I think we're out of time for tonight. So
but we can go on, because there's totally other D23 stuff we can be talking about. So if you are here live with us right now, then great. Let's keep talking. We're going to do another half an hour just... talking to you folks in the chat and doing Q&A time and stuff. It's going to be a good time.
Yes, but in the meantime, you can always talk to us during the week over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnife1st.
And I'm at Marsgirl.
And that having been said, that's been this week's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will see you guys next week.
Oh no, don't look at me! And
look.
what?
We're still here.